Ako ang unang nilala, si Evea. Taglay ang liwanag at talino mula sa apat na kaharian. Ngunit, ang buhay ay hindi buo kung siya lang. Kaya nilikha ko si Adrak mula sa alabok ng lupa at hina ng liwanag.
Horidio.
Evea!
Dahil sa bagat ni Ether, nasugatan ang mga gene ni Evea. Nagkaroon ng mutation, mga pagbabago na magtutulot ng karamdaman sa kanyang mga lahi.
Emre! Maaari mo bang ayusin ang kanyang dugo?
Sa darating na panahon, tutuklasan ng mga alam ang ibang pangangka. Gene therapy. Upang ayusin ang siyang gene at pangpaligid ang buhay.
At natuklasan namin ni Adrak ang gene therapy. Sa tulong nito, nagkaroon ng mga engkantado na may iba't ibang kakayahan mula sa apat na kaharian ng Hathoria, Sapero, Adamia, at Lerio. Gamit ang gene therapy, matagumpay naming nabuo ang bagong henerasyon ng mga engkantado sa apat na kaharian. Mga Hathor, matalino at disiplinado, may genes ng talas ng isip at karunungan. Mga Saperian, malalakas at matatag, may genes ng tapang at resistensya. Mga Adamian, mapagpagaling at mapagpamahal sa kalikasan, may genes ng mabilis na paghilom. Mga Diwata, mapanatag at marangal, may genes ng kabutihan at espiritual na karunungan. Ngayon, bago namin ibahagi ang lihim ng gene therapy, alamin muna natin kung saang kaharian kakabilang.
Ihanda ang inyong papel at panulat. Piliin ang kulay ng sagot na pinakanaglalarawan sa iyong paninindigan. Ang iyong mga sagot ay magpapakita kung aling kaharian ang kumakatawan sa iyong mga gene. Narito ang mga katanungan. Una, kung may karamdaman ang mahal mo sa buhay, ano ang gagawin mo? Kulay pula. Gamitin agad ang gene therapy upang mailigtas siya. Kulay dilaw. Alamin muna ang proseso at mga panganib bago magdesisyon. Kulay berde. Siguraduhin na ito'y para sa kabutihan ng lahat. Kulay asul. Isaalang-alang kung ito'y moral at ayon sa kalooban ni Emre. Pangalawa, kung ikaw ay siyentista, paano mo gagamitin ang pagbabago ng gene? Kulay pula. Upang palakasin ang katawan laban sa sakit. Kulay dilaw. Upang matuklasan ang bagong teknolohiya sa DNA. Kulay berde. Upang pagalingin ang may sakit at tulungan ang kalikasan. Kulay asul. Upang mapanatili ang balanse ng agham at dignidad. Pangatlong tanong. Paano mo nakikita ang papel ng agham sa hinaharap ng Encantadia? Kulay pula. Sandata para sa kaligtasan at lakas ng bansa. Kulay dilaw. Daan patungo sa pag-unlad at kaalaman. Kulay berde. Para sa pagpapagaling ng mundo at pagkakaisa ng lahat. Kulay asul. Gabay upang mapanatili ang etika at dangal ng sangkatauhan. Para sa resulta, bilangin ang kulay ng iyong mga sagot. Ang pinakamarami ay siyang magpapakita ng iyong kaharian. Kung nangibabaw ang pula, ikaw ay nabibilang sa Hathoria. Kung nangibabaw ang dilaw, ikaw ay nabibilang sa Sapero. Kung nangibabaw ang berde, ikaw ay nabibilang sa Adamia. At kung nangibabaw naman ang asol, ikaw ay nabibilang sa leryo. Kung may 2 o higit pa ang pinakamaraming kulay, ang iyong pamilya ng iyong ina o ama ay maaaring nagmula sa sinasabing kaharian.
Ang gene therapy ay biyayang bigay ni Emre. Kapangyarihang ayusin, hindi abusuhin. Tulad ng 4 na kaharian, bawat isa sa atin ay may natatanging tungkulin. Ngunit ano nga ba ang gene therapy? Pero teka lang, parang may nararamdaman akong kakaibang enerhiya. Isang mahika ng karunungan na mula sa ibang daigdig, na para bang napadpad sa lagusan. Teka lang, hahanapin ko. Oh my goodness, where am I? I was just teaching my friends about gene therapy and now I'm in Encantadia. Hello, 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 how are you? Hi friends, I am Miss Shai and today we're going to learn something amazing about how scientists can fix our genes and heal our bodies. Are you ready? Yay! Let's go on a science adventure! Hi friends, do you know what gene therapy means? Let's think. Okay, genes are like tiny instructions inside every cell of your body. They tell your body how to grow, what color your eyes will be, and how to stay healthy. But sometimes, those instructions have a mistake. Uh-oh. Gene therapy is like a fix-it tool that helps the doctor correct those mistakes so people can get better. It can help with diseases like cancers, genetic disorders, or infections. Scientists can also add a new healthy gene or turn a bad one. It's like giving your body a super instruction. Now friends, let's go back in time. In the 1950s, scientists discovered the shape of DNA. It is called the double helix. And then, in the 1960s and 70s, they learned how to read and change genes like learning a brand new language. And then, by 1990, doctors tried gene therapy to help children with sickness called SCID where their immune system didn't work. Wow, that was a big step for science. And now, we have amazing tools like CRISPR Cas9. Can you say that with me? SRISPR Cas9. Yay! It's like a tiny scissor that can cut and fix DNA exactly where scientists want. Snip, snip. Now friends, let's imagine DNA as a storybook about you. Okay? Sometimes the story has a typo. Gene editing helps erase the mistakes and write the right word. There are special ways cells fix themselves, like some enzymes just erase the damage and others cut out the bad part and fill it again. And when both sides of the DNA break, the cell glues them back together. Wow, that's teamwork! And then, CRISPR helps scientists guide those DNA fixers to the right page of the story so your body can heal itself. Now let's meet the type of gene therapy. The first one is the somatic cell gene therapy. She helps fix genes in body cells like your skin or your lungs, but it doesn't pass it to your children. Next is the germline gene therapy. It changes genes in reproductive cells, sperm or eggs, so the fix can be passed on to babies. But this one's tricky and needs careful thinking because it affects future generations. Next is the stem cell therapy. She uses special cells that can turn into any help repair or regrow parts of your body, like making new blood, skin, or even organs someday. Next is the CRISPR-Cas9. It is a powerful tool scientists use to edit genes. It works like a precise scissors guided by a GPS or the RNA that cuts DNA at the right spot. This allows scientists to add, remove, or fix genes to treat diseases or improve plants and animals. It's faster, cheaper, and more accurate than older methods. Next is gene engineering. It is the broader process of changing DNA, which can include gene editing or adding new genes from other species to create genetically modified organisms. Let's say stem cells. Stem cells, yay! These are like tiny builders inside us. They can regenerate, repair, and differentiate. That means they make more of themselves, they fix what's broken, and they turn into what the body needs. Science is powerful, but we must use it wisely. Some people worry about using embryos in stem cell research. Others believe it can help find cures for many diseases. Different religions and people have different views, and that's okay. The most important thing is that to have respect, kindness, and good communication when we talk about it. There are three main types of stem cells. First is the embryonic stem cells, or ESC. Come from early embryos and can become almost any cell in the body. They have great potential for healing but raise ethical concerns. Next is the adult stem cells. It is found in parts of the body like bone marrow and skin. They can make only certain cell types and mainly help repair the tissues they come from. Next is the induced pluripotent stem cells, or iPSC. These are adult cells reprogrammed to act like embryonic ones. They can turn into many cell types and are less controversial because they don't come from embryos. Now friends, let's wrap it up. What did we learn today? Let's review, friends. Sing with me in a count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go! Gene therapy helps fix our genes, stem cells heal our wants and dreams. Science give us hope each day, science give us hope each day to make sickness go away, to make sickness go away. Yay! Science is like teamwork between people, cells and ABS, all working to help others live healthier, happier lives. Bye friends! Remember, learning is power and science is awesome. Goodbye, goodbye, it's time to go. May nakapasok nga. Hindi ko mahanap, nasan kaya yun?
Mahal ko, hayaan mong ako na magpatuloy dito.
Sige na, magpahinga na ako.
Avisala. Ako si Adrak at isa ako sa nakatuklas ng gene therapy. Ngayon ay ating tatalakayin ang STS analysis and ethics implications of gene therapy. Science and technology can help save lives, but they also raise hard questions about what is right and wrong. In gene and stem cell research, scientists must balance progress with ethics. Let's look at 3 main issues such as cloning, designer babies, and human enhancement. First, cloning. Cloning means making a genetic copy of a person or animal. Scientists once cloned a sheep named Dolly in 1996. But many clones suffer from health problems or die young.
In the Philippines, cloning is not allowed because we believe that life is sacred. The general stance of Philippine ethics and science in 2009 would be against it, primarily due to safety and ethical concerns. The Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, the PCHRD of the Department of Science and Technology, mirrored international concerns about the risks and ethical issues, such as the high failure rate, health problems in cloned animals, potential for abuse, and questions about human dignity and individuality. Second, the designer babies. Designer babies are children whose genes are changed before birth to pick certain traits. It can help stop some diseases, but people might also use it for looks or intelligence. In the Philippines, this idea goes against our beliefs about equality and natural creation. Our scientists and the University of the Philippines National Institutes of Health remind us that we must use gene editing technology like clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats or CRISPR only to heal, not to design people for personal wishes, as well as the risks of unintentional or nefarious use, such as creating bioterrorism agents. And we also have the human enhancement. Human enhancement means improving people's physical or mental abilities through science. It sounds exciting, but it can make people unequal. Some may have more power or beauty than others. In our country, there's no program that allows this. Instead, the government and research councils focus on protecting people's dignity. Republic Act 10532 ensure that science always respects life and fairness. And the National Committee on Biosafety of the Philippines, or the NCBP, has discussed the use of gene drives to prevent vector-borne diseases like dengue, viewing it as a potentially cost-effective public health solution. In terms of human enhancement, the DOST has not issued a specific stance on human enhancement through gene editing. However, its support for using gene editing to improve human health and well-being aligns with the potential for misuse and enhancement, highlighting the need for ethical guidelines. Kung sa gayon, hindi lahat ng pwedeng gawin ay dapat gawin. Now that we've seen the ethical issues in gene and stem cell research, let's look beyond our country. Different nations and global organizations like the World Health Organization and UNESCO work together to create policies that make sure biotechnology helps people while respecting human rights. Here is the global perspectives on biotechnology ethics and policy. First is the World Health Organization. Its role is to set international health standards, including for gene and stem cell research. Its focus is mainly for safety, fairness, and global cooperation in biotechnology. So what are its main policies? The World Health Organization makes sure that biotechnology follows rules that protect health and fairness. It reminds scientists that research should help everyone, not just the powerful. The WHO also discourages cloning and untested gene experiments on humans. In the Philippines, our Department of Health and the Philippine Genome center follow WHO's guidelines to ensure safety in research and promote equal access to genetic medicine. It supports ethical principles like informed consent, autonomy, equity, and access in the context of biomedical and public health research. The WHO promotes international ethical guidelines for biomedical research, primarily referencing the Council for International Organizations of Medical Sciences guidelines and the World Medical Association's Declaration of Health and Key. Key principles include ensuring scientific validity and social value, which refers to how well the results among the study participants represent true findings among similar individuals outside the study. Obtaining informed consent, protecting participants from harm by maintaining a favorable risk-benefit ratio, which is calculated by dividing the benefits by the risks to determine if the advantages outweigh the potential dangers. And lastly, conducting independent ethical review of all research. In the Philippines, our Department of Health and the Philippine Genome Center follow WHO's guidelines to ensure safety in research and promote equal access to genetic medicine. In addition, the DOH and the DOST provide funding and support for genomics research, but of course, within the established safety and ethical frameworks.
Tapos na tayo sa WHO. Puntahan naman natin ang United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization o UNESCO. UNESCO teaches that science must always protect human dignity. Its declaration in 1997 says, "Our genetic makeup belongs to all humanity, not to be owned or exploited." With that, genome is a shared heritage of humanity. Seeing it as shared heritage encourages cooperation and fairness in scientific discoveries. It is like saying that whatever scientific discoveries is for all. It includes provisions against discrimination based on genetic characteristics and prohibits human cloning for reproductive purposes. Sa Pilipinas, ang DLSU and UPNIH both run bioethics training programs supported by UNESCO. These programs teach students and researchers how to think critically about science, ethics, and responsibility. Lastly is the National Institutes of Health. To recall, World Health Organization is to set international health standards. UNESCO emphasizes protection of human dignity. Ngayon, ang National Institutes of Health sets US-based model for ethical biomedical research ethics, kung saan nangangailangan ng informed consent, proteksyon sa personal data, at pinopondohan lamang ang ethical studies. Sa mundo ng mga tao sa Pilipinas, ang UPNIH follows these same principles. It trains scientists on health research ethics, reviews proposals through its Research Ethics Board, and leads studies on genetics and stem cell safety. HREB, or Philippine Health Research Ethics Board, was created under Republic Act 10532 to make sure that every health or biotechnology study in the country follows ethical rules. Ina-accredit nito ang mga Research Ethics Committee or what we have known as ERC sa mga ospital at paaralan working closely with the DOST and DOH. Meanwhile, DLSU continues to teach bioethics through its Science and Technology Studies program and ethics seminars, reminding future scientists that knowledge must always come with moral responsibility. Kahit dito sa Encantadia ay umabot ang impluwensya ng international organizations. To see closely the difference, here is their main goals. WHO promotes global safety and fairness in research. UNESCO upholds human dignity and rights in science. And lastly, NIH ensures ethical standards in all biomedical studies. Here in the Philippines, PHREB and UPNIH apply these ethics locally under RA 10532. Sa pamamagitan sa mga global ethical guidelines sa biotechnology, narito kung paano inaaprubahan at ipinapatupad ng Pilipinas ang mga prinsipyong ito sa bansa. As mentioned, this is through Republic Act 10532 or the Philippine National Health Research System. Republic Act number 10532 was signed into law in 2013 to ensure that all health research in the country is scientifically sound, ethically guided, and socially responsive. It brings together 4 main institutions: the Department of Science and Technology, the Department of Health, the Commission on Higher Education, and lastly, the National Institutes of Health. Think RA 10532 as Perena. Ngayon, siya ang gumagabay at tumatanaw sa kung ano ang nararapat gawin ng mga sangre or the ethics review committees. Siya ang gabay sa pagpapahusay ng mga sangre at kapag sinuway,
At sa tingin mo ba'y ikinagagalak kong makita kang muli? Warga!
lagot. Ang pinaka-focus ng batas na ito ay bioethics, making sure that all studies respect the rights and safety of participants. This is led by the Philippine Health Research Ethics Board, established under Section 12 of RA 10532, which supervises ethics review committees across universities and hospitals sa Pilipinas. And we are one of the game changer recipients of ERC, right? With our researches in educational and research in culture and arts. Sa ilalim ng mga patakarang ito, kailangang tiyakin ang mga researchers ang informed consent, confidentiality of information, at proteksyon laban sa anumang panganib, lalo na sa mga pag-aaral tungkol sa biotechnology at genetics. The UPNIH contributes by conducting projects on biobanking, genetic ethics, and health policy research. Biobanking is like data banking and qualitative research design. Instead of data is collected, it process of collecting, storing, and managing biological samples such as blood, tissue, DNA, or urine along with related health information for use in scientific research. Kung sa Encantadia, ang konseho ang nagpapatupad ng batas at katarungan, the PHREB organizes national training programs on research ethics to ensure that every research follows ethical standards and accredits institutional review boards under Administrative Order Number 1 Series of 2017. Regionally, the RHRDCs ay sumusuporta sa mga lokal na pananaliksik na tumutugon sa pangangailangan ng komunidad tumutulong na maisama ang mga solusyon ng biotechnology sa pampublikong kalusugan habang pinapangangalagaan ang mga pamantayang etikal. Para silang mga general sa mga kaharian sa Encantadia, ensuring that their soldiers are aiming for one vision to the greater cause of ethical and community-based needs. Sa pamamagitan ng RA 10532, tinitiyak ng Pilipinas na ang pag-unlad sa agham ay kaagapay ng dignidad ng tao, kaligtasan at panlipunang pananagutan. Now that we understand how the Philippines ensures ethical research through RA 10532 and the PNHRS, it's time to look at the deeper question behind every scientific discovery. How do we balance progress with our humanity? Here is the balancing scientific advancement with human dignity and social responsibility. Excuse me po. First, what is human dignity? Human dignity, ito ay ang pagtanggap na ang bawat tao ay may sariling halaga. Pahalagahan. Ayon sa ating tinalakay, anumang kalagayan ng kalusugan, pinagmulan o katangiang genetics na mayroon sila. Dahil kung wala nito, ay tiyak na magkakagulo. Kagaya ngayon sa Encantadia. Sa nakaraan ni Medana na itinakwil noong siya'y bata pa dahil sa kanyang kakaibang pagkatao bilang F3.
Isa siyang imtre! Isa siyang sanggol na hindi na dapat ipinanganak!
Sil! Sil! Sil, magbalik ka rito, Sil!
Ipinapaalala ng mga etikal na alituntunin sa pananaliksik sa genetika na walang sinuman ang dapat ituring na mababa o mapanganib dahil lamang sa kanyang pinagmulan o katangiang genetics. In biotechnology, this principle protects people from being treated as test subjects or products of science. Because DNA carries our identity and personal information. For example, tinitiyak ng mga ethical guidelines in genetic research na hindi ginagamit ang mga DNA ng sinuman nang walang pahintulot at walang buhay na nililikha o binabago para lamang sa eksperimento. This will also pave for inclusivity, not just as an ownership, but as a right as a person. We're done with human dignity. How about social responsibility? Alam ko na pamilyar na ang terminong social responsibility. It means that scientists and institutions should use knowledge to improve lives, not only for profit, but for the common good. Utilitarianism. This includes making medical technologies like gene therapy or stem cell treatments accessible and safe, especially for developing countries. It also calls for honest communication about risks and benefits so society can make informed choices. Tulad ng paggamit ng mga brilyante sa Encantadia, ang panlipunang pananagutan ay nangangahulugang ang kapangyarihan o kaalaman ay dapat gamitin para sa kabutihan ng lahat, hindi para sa pansariling kapakinabangan. In the Philippines, This balance is pursued through laws like the discussed RA 10532 and the work of PHREB and UPNIH, which promote ethical and socially relevant research. Programs such as community-based health research and ethical review systems show that the country values both innovation and compassion. However, the balance is still a work in progress. Challenges like limited funding, unequal access to new medical technologies, and the influence of cultural and religious beliefs often affect how far science can go. Despite these, the Philippines continues to promote science that serves people, protecting life, respecting culture, and ensuring that progress remains human-centered. Ngunit, higit pa sa ating balangkas, mahalagang maunawaan kung paano ang mga makabagong tuklas sa agham tulad ng gene therapy ay bahagi ng mas malawak na layunin, ang pandaigdigang layunin na makamit ang mabuting kalusugan at kagalingan para sa lahat. Gene therapy plays a major role in achieving the global goal of good health and well-being, especially under the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 3, which aims to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all ages. Higit sa paggamot ng mga sakit, ang gene therapy ay nakatutulong din sa regenerative medicine na tumutulong sa paggaling at muling paggana ng mga nasirang tissue o organs. For example, scientists use stem cell-based gene therapy to regenerate skin or restore blood cell production after chemotherapy. These innovations greatly improve the quality and length of human life. However, gene therapy is not only about technology. It also carries a moral goal to make these breakthroughs accessible to everyone. Hinihikayat nito ang pagkakapantay-pantay sa pangangalagang pangkalusugan upang matiyak na kapwa ang mga maunlad at umuunlad na bansa ay makikinabang sa biotechnology. Therefore, when guided by ethics and social responsibility, gene therapy becomes more than a scientific milestone. It becomes a symbol of hope that science, when used wisely, can heal lives and uphold human dignity for all. At upang maisakatuparan ang mga layuning ito, mahalagang kilalanin ang tungkulin ng mga guro at tagapagturo. Sila ang nagsisilbing gabay sa pagpapalaganap ng kamalayan sa bioethics at pagpapalawak ng scientificong literacy or scientific literacy sa komunidad upang matiyak na ang agham ay ginagamit ng may malasakit, respeto at pananagutan. Kaya, paano ito ginagawa? Number 1. Teach students to think critically about science and ethics. Teachers help learners analyze both the benefits and risks of new technologies like gene therapy or cloning. For example, in a classroom debate about designer babies, students can explore not only the scientific process but also the moral implications of altering human genes. Schools such as the Philippine Science High School and UP Integrated School include bioethics in science discussions, helping students question and reason behind facts. Number 2. Encourage responsible use of biotechnology. So educators emphasize that scientific knowledge should serve society, not harm it. In college-level biology and research classes, teachers guide students in following ethical research practices, such as obtaining consent, respecting privacy, and ensuring safety in experiments. For example, UP Los Baños integrates biotechnology ethics in its Institute of Biological Sciences, reminding students that innovation must align with public welfare. And we know that consent is important para also to us researchers makalikay sa further risks. Number 3. Raise awareness about respect for life, consent, and equality in research. Teachers act as moral guides by showing why respect for life and fairness are essential in scientific work. Discussions may include real cases, such as controversies in stem cell therapy clinics in Metro Manila in 2013, where there were practice of stem cell therapy which did not constitute standard care at that time. The claim that it offers cure to numerous diseases and conditions have not been proven through scientific research and documentation. Yet, they are continuing their services. Also, there was difficulty verifying claims of practitioners and institutions regarding the effectivity of available treatment modalities. To include this in lessons is to teach students why ethical approval and patient consent matter. The Philippine Health Research Ethics Board provides guidelines that educators can use to teach responsible research conduct. At number 4. Promote community programs and discussions on bioethics and health technology. Educators extend learning beyond the classroom by organizing seminars, webinars, and local outreach programs about biotechnology and ethics. Universities like De La Salle University and University of the Philippines often host public talks on topics like gene editing, pandemic research ethics, and health equity. These help communities understand both the promise and the responsibility that come with modern science. With these 4 strategies, teachers can make students see science as a moral responsibility by integrating ethics directly into scientific lessons and activities. Nawa ay marami kayong natutunan sa akin. Ako muli si Adrak. At sa inyong pagbabasbas sa ating pagtatalakay bilang mga engkantado, narito si Emre.
Mga diwata sa Pilian, Hator at Adamian, Avisala. Habang tinatapos natin ang ating talakayan, nakikita natin na bawat bahagi ng bioteknolohiya mula sa gene therapy hanggang sa batas na etikal ay nagpapaalala na ang agham ay higit pa sa kaalaman. Ito ay kasangkapang dapat laging maglingkod sa buhay, rumirespeto sa tao at nag-aangat sa lipunan. Ang tamang balanse ng inobasyon at etika ang susi sa responsable at makataong pag-unlad ng agham. Ngayon, upang kayo'y maging mabuting engkantado, narito ang aking pagbabasbas. Kanina, bago tayo nagsimula sa ating talakayan, si Evea ay nagbigay ng ilang mga katanungan at batay sa inyong mga sagot, nalaman ninyo kung saang kaharian kayo kabilang. Ngayon, susubukin natin kung kayo nga ba ay tunay na engkantado. Magtatanong ako para sa bawat kaharian at sasagutin ninyo sa ganitong paraan sa seksyon ng komento sa Google Classroom. Mabuhay ang pangalan ng kaharian, kasunod ang inyong sagot.
Para sa mga hator, kung magagamit ang gene therapy para mapahusay ang lakas ng tao, sang-ayon ka ba na gamitin ito sa mga sundalo o manggagawa? Bakit? Para sa mga sapiriyan, bilang matalino at makatarungan, paano mo mapapanatili ang tamang paggamit ng agham tulad ng gene editing nang hindi naaabuso? Para sa mga adamyan, kung ang gene therapy ay kayang magpagaling pero maaaring makasira sa kalikasan, ano ang pipiliin mo? Ang pag-unlad o kalikasan? Bakit? At para sa mga diwata, paano mo maipapakita na ang siyentipikong pag-unlad ay dapat laging may respeto sa buhay at dignidad ng tao? Ang inyong mga sagot ang siyang magbabasbas sa inyo bilang mga tunay at mabuting engkantado. At ngayon, ipapasa ko kayo sa isa sa magiting na bagong tagapangalaga ng brilyante ng hangin, si Sangre Dea.
In the realm of science, a new age has dawned, an age where the very essence of life can be rewritten. Through the art and power of biotechnology, humankind now stands at the threshold of creation itself. Isang mapayapang pagbati sa inyo, mga tagapakinig. Ako si Milian de la Peña at tulad ng hangin ng amihan, dalhin nawa tayo ng kaalaman sa isang bagong daigdig kung saan ang agham ay may kakayahang baguhin at pagalingin ang buhay mismo. Sa araw na ito, ating sasaliksikin ang hiwaga ng gene editing and stem cell therapy. As I welcome you all to the discussion, let me introduce you to our case study entitled The Ethics of Gene Editing and Stem Cell Therapy. So, are you ready to listen? Let us now delve what is our case study all about. The rapid advancement of biotechnology has contributed to the development of new medical interventions, including gene editing and stem cell therapy. A gene therapy is a medical method that uses genes as medicines or by fixing a person's abnormal genes in order to treat or stop genetic diseases. Gene editing, for example, gives scientists the power to modify DNA, essentially rewriting faulty genetic codes responsible for disorders like cystic fibrosis or muscular dystrophy. It's precise and powerful but also raises big ethical questions. How far should we go in changing in human genes? And who decides what's acceptable? Stem cell therapy utilizes the body's inherent capacity for self-healing. These cells have the ability to regenerate themselves into
In
various
some
types of
circumstances,
cells.
it cuts any RNA
These
it encounters,
innovations
a
bring
process
major
termed
benefits,
collateral cleavage.
curing
It is
hereditary
this
diseases
mechanism that
and
scientists at the
repairing
McGovern
organs,
Institute,
but also
Broad
raise
Institute, and
ethical
Harvard
and
University
safety
harnessed to
concerns.
create Sherlock, a
On
highly
the other
sensitive
hand,
tool to
stem cell
detect
therapy
infectious
taps
diseases
into the
in
body's
humans.
natural healing ability.
Here's how the Sherlock detection
These cells
system
can regenerate and develop into different types of tissues, offering hope for conditions like spinal cord injuries, diabetes, and heart diseases. It's like giving the body the tools to heal itself. But as promising as these advances are, they are also challenge our sense of ethics and safety. For example, the same science that can repair genetic damage could also be misused for non-medical purposes, like enhancing physical traits or intelligence. That's why its strict guidelines and regulations from health authorities, such as the Department of Health and FDA, are so very important. Globally, countries are racing ahead in biotechnology research, while locally, nations like the Philippines are still finding the right balance between progress and protection. This difference highlights how culture, religion, as social values influence scientific acceptance and policy making. So the main goal of this case study is to critically look at the both global and local ethical implications of gene editing and stem cell therapy. It asks to think beyond the science, to question not just what we can do, but what we should do. The CRISPR babies case is one of the most controversial moments in modern biotechnology. It began in China and involved the use of gene editing technology on human embryos with the goal of creating children resistant to HIV, while it was introduced as a breakthrough for medicine. The experiment raised serious ethical, scientific, and legal concerns across the world. So, what is CRISPR? CRISPR stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats. This technology has enormous potential to correct genetic disorders, but it also carries risk if used irresponsibly. In 2016, a Chinese biophysicist named He Jiankui began a project that would test those boundaries. His goal was to use CRISPR to disable a gene known as CCR5, which allows HIV to enter human cells. By editing these gene embryos, he hoped to make the children resistant to virus. What made this experiment different from previous research was that the modified embryos were implanted and brought to term, leading to the birth of twin girls in 2018. Later on, the twins were identified with the pseudonyms of Lulu and Nana. So who is He Jiankui exactly? He Jiankui is a Chinese biophysicist and researcher known for his controversial who first produced genetically altered babies, specifically the birth of twin girls with edited genomes. Why was his controversy shocked the whole scientific community? Many experts stated that the experiment was premature, unethical, and unsafe. While CRISPR had been tested in labs, its effects on embryos and future generations were still largely unknown. In addition, He Jiankui carried out his research in secret and without proper oversight from ethical review boards. But did you know he did not act alone in this controversy? From the report of Cyrnowski 2019, Michael Dean, a biophysicist at Rice University in Texas, and He Jiankui's former advisor was one of the significant individuals mentioned. Dean also served on the advisory board of a Chinese genome sequencing startup. According to reports, Dean was present during the participant recruitment process and was a senior author on an unpublished publication that described the experiment. However, his precise role in the experiment is still unknown. The CRISPR babies experiment provoked outrage around the world and became one of the most controversial events in modern biotechnology. The experiment raised a serious moral question. Should humans have the power to change the genetic makeup of future generations? Many argued that editing human genes crosses an ethical line as it interferes with the natural design of human life. Critics emphasize that such actions could lead to unknown consequences, not only for the individuals involved but for the humanity as a whole. As Raposo 2019 pointed out, altering the human genome has been compared to playing God. This expression reflects the deep concern that science, when not guided by ethics, may go beyond its rightful limits. The global response to CRISPR babies case ultimately reminded everyone that while scientific innovation can be powerful, it must always respect the sanctity of human life and the boundaries of morality. After seeing how gene editing in China raised serious ethical questions worldwide, it's important to see that we face our own version of these challenges here in the Philippines. One of that is stem cell therapy. Though full of promise, also brings debates about ethics, safety, and government control. So, what is exactly is happening here? Let's find out. Stem cell therapy is a modern medical procedure that offers hope to patients with chronic and degenerative diseases, such as diabetes, heart failure, or even Parkinson's disease. It uses stem cells, which are unique because they can develop into various types of specialized cells, allowing the body to repair or replace damaged tissues. In the Philippines, this therapy has been promoted as a breakthrough in regenerative medicine. However, its rapid rise also creates controversy. The main concern lies not in the concept itself, but in how it is practiced, with clinics follow proper medical standards and whether the sources of stem cells are ethical and safe for human use. Some unregulated clinics began offering expensive stem cell treatments without proven scientific backing or proper government approval. This raised questions about patient safety, misleading claims, and the potential for exploitation. Because stem cell therapy directly involves human cells and tissues, improper procedures can lead to serious health risks, including infection, rejection, or even cancerous growths. Recognizing the potential risks of stem cell therapy, the Department of Health and the Food Drug Administration implemented Administrative Order Number 2013-0012, which regulates its practice in the Philippines. This policy ensures that only qualified medical professionals can perform the procedure, that all stem cell products are FDA approved, and that unproven or misleading treatments are prohibited. Overall, this regulation protects the public from unsafe practices while allowing ethical scientific progress. It reflects the Philippines' commitment to ensuring that medical innovation always upholds ethics, safety, and public welfare. When we look at the results of our study on the gene editing and stem cell therapy, one thing becomes clear. The promise of biotechnology is deeply connected to the questions of ethics, equality, and governance. These technologies can change the course of medicine, but they also challenge our moral boundaries and social structures. The ethical concerns surrounding these innovations revolve around consent, autonomy, and human dignity. Gene editing, especially when it involves embryos, raises questions about altering future generations without their consent, a decision that permanently affects human heredity. Similarly, stem cell therapy presents dilemmas about the moral value of embryos and the commercialization of the human cell. Socially, the way these technologies are used can either strengthen or weaken public trust in science. When research lacks transparency or regulation, people begin to question the motives behind innovation, whether it truly serves humanity or merely benefit powerful interests. Our result also highlights how biotechnology can deepen social inequality. Advanced medical procedures like gene editing and stem cell therapy are often accessible only to the wealthy, creating biological divide, where health and longevity could depend on one's financial status. In less regulated regions, clinics exploit this gap by offering expensive but unverified treatments, turning medical hope into commercial profit. Globally, this creates uneven development. Countries with strong biotech infrastructure like China move fast toward innovation, while developing nations like the Philippines focus on protection and safety. The comparison between China and the Philippines reveals how culture and governance shape ethical outcomes. In China, after the CRISPR baby scandal, the government strengthened regulations and ethical review systems to rebuild credibility and control innovations. This demonstrates a state-led approach, rapid innovation balanced by tighter rules. In the Philippines, the focus is different. Policies such as DOH and Administrative Order Number 20130012 regulate stem cell practice to safeguard patients from untested therapies. The approach is more cautious, emphasizing moral values, patient safety, and public welfare over aggressive scientific competition. Next, we go to comparative reflection. These constructing cases show two paths, one driven by scientific leadership, the other is by ethical prudence. China's strength lies in research capacity, while the Philippines' strength lies in human-centered governance. Both approaches teach us that biotechnology must be adapted to each nation's context, balancing innovation with moral responsibility. Next, we have science, technology, and society, and the human flourishing. From a science, technology, and society perspective, the results remind us that science is never neutral. It operates within systems of culture, economy, and power. True human flourishing will not come from technology alone, but from ensuring that access, equity, and ethics guide how these tools are developed and used. Biotechnology must not only cure diseases, it must also uphold justice, dignity, and inclusion. In the end, biotechnology's true progress lies not in the advancement, but in their responsible use. Gene editing and stem cell therapy hold great promise, but their value depends on serving all humanity. Innovation must grow hand in hand with ethics to uphold life and dignity. In conclusion, the ethical review of gene editing and stem cell therapy reveals that scientific progress must always be guided by moral responsibility. The CRISPR babies case in China exposed how innovation without ethics can lead to global outrage, while the Philippines' regulated approach to stem cell therapy reflects a commitment to patient safety and accountability. From the lens of science, technology, and society, these cases show that science is shaped by cultural values, political systems, and social priorities. China's drive for technological dominance contrasts with the Philippines' emphasis on human dignity and ethical restraint. Lastly, true scientific advancement is not only about discovering new possibilities but about using them wisely and compassionately. Progress must serve humanity, protecting life, promoting equality, and upholding moral integrity. For our recommendations, we have four. The first one is strengthen ethical frameworks. This is to adopt shared bioethical standards for gene editing and stem cell research, ensuring transparency and accountability. China should also reinforce ethical oversight, while the Philippines should improve DOH FDA coordination. Second is to integrate bioethics education. Include ethics in science and medical training to highlight moral and social impacts. Public campaigns should also combat misinformation and support informed choices. Third is to enhance regulation and transparency. Bolster the Philippines' health agencies and ethics committees and promote open, transparent research in China to build public trust. And last but not the least, we have to encourage inclusive governance, involve scientists, policymakers, patients, and communities in ethical decisions to ensure biotechnology remains fair and socially responsible. So that's it for our case study. I hope you learned something new and discover how ethic is very important in our studies and future research endeavors. So, thank you for listening.